All right. Well, good morning, everybody. So a little change to our normal way that we do things. As you can see, I have the poster up for you guys to see. Our Engage is down, so I don't have the QR code or the link that I normally share with you guys to capture your attendance. So please put your full name in the chat pod so that I can manually capture that. And because Engage is down, but we do want to get your attendance and we'll put that in manually afterwards. So please go ahead and put your full name in the chat pod and I will get that for you guys and put that in later for you. All right, down. Uh, let's see, chat. Perfect. Yeah, if you'll just put that in, guys. Perfect. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. It is being recorded. All right, so welcome to the Employability Skill Series, where we look at the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. My name is Megan Morrow. I am your host, the Senior Associate Director of Employer Relations and Experiential Learning. And today I have Les Davis to talk about reliability. And Les is our talent acquisition and workforce development professional from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department. Les is an accomplished talent acquisition and workforce development professional with more than 2 decades of leadership experience across military, corporate, higher education, entrepreneurship, and public service environments. With a career rooted in helping people find purpose-driven opportunities, Les has built and led programs that strengthen organizational performance and foster meaningful career growth for thousands of professionals and transitioning service members. Currently serving as the Talent Acquisition Administrator for Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Les partners with department leaders to assess workforce needs, refine recruitment strategies, and implement data-driven hiring processes. He leads initiatives to enhance candidate engagement, improve diversity outreach, and strengthen community partnerships, ensuring JSO continues to attract exceptional talent in both sworn and civilian capacities. Prior to joining JSO, Les worked as a talent advisor at CSX, where he developed and executed high-impact recruiting strategies and aligned with corporate goals. He specialized in talent pipeline development for leadership and operational roles while mentoring fellow recruiters and enhancing sourcing methods. His strategic approach balanced operational efficiency with candidate experience, enabling CSX to maintain a steady flow for qualified, engaged applicants for critical positions. Les previously served as the Director of Military Services at TWS, where he designed and managed workforce development initiatives that expanded the organization's visibility within the military and veteran community. Under his leadership, the Department of Defense Skill Bridge program experienced 300% growth in 1 year. He also introduced process improvements in marketing and finance that increased program efficiency by 16%, showcasing his ability to align people, processes, and performance. A key chapter in Les's career was his 13-year tenure at WYO Tech, a $120 million division of CCI Zenith Education Group, where he advanced from high school admissions representative to regional associate vice president of military admissions. In that role, he led admissions and sales operations across 6 campuses, managing multi-million-dollar budgets and a team of more than 30 professionals. His leadership helped establish WYO Tech as a national leader in military and veteran education outreach, developing partnerships with installations, veteran organizations, and workforce agencies nationwide. Les also brings entrepreneurial and consulting experience with his professional portfolio. As owner of Brickstone Pizza and Subs, he managed a $2.1 million annual operation, overseeing business development, budgeting, and team leadership. A founder of Davis Consulting, Les served as a military and veteran recruiting consultant for organizations including McKesson Corporation, AM Vets, and Claremont Lincoln University, helping them design veteran hiring initiatives, train recruiters, and improve brand visibility through targeted outreach and modernized marketing strategies. In addition to his professional leadership, Les extended his communication expertise as a radio talk show host, co-host, and host with Military Network Radio and MIL Resource Radio, reaching over 4 million military family listeners each month. Through dynamic interviews and collaborative discussions with industry experts, Les helped deliver timely, informative, and inspiring content and connected veterans, military families, and community organizations across the country. His work in broadcasting reinforced his passion for advocacy, communication, and building bridges between the military and the civilian world. A U.S. Army veteran, Les proudly served 16 years in various leadership roles, including station commander, recruiter trainer, and field recruiter. His military service instilled a mission-first mindset, integrity, and unwavering dedication to helping others succeed, values that continue to define his leadership approach. Les holds a master's degree in leadership and a bachelor's degree in business from Bellevue University, and is certified in Six Sigma Lean Black Belt. Throughout his career, Les has maintained commitment to empowering people and organizations to achieve their full potential, whether guiding recruiting teams, supporting veterans in transition, managing complex programs, or engaging with audience through public speaking and broadcasting. Les continues to make a lasting impact by connecting people, purpose, and opportunities. What an impressive bio. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Les.
Oh, sounds exhausting.
This is wonderful. So great. So anything else in there you didn't talk about your beekeeping. So that's also something that's impressive as well.
Yeah, so I guess I should have thrown that on there. The last 3 years being a new, new beekeeper, having much more success this year than the first two. So then my bees are staying put instead of leaving. So I'm happy about that.
That's perfect. All right. Well, so welcome. And thank you so much again for joining us and sharing some of your time and insights with us. So today we're talking about reliability. So can you just talk to us a little bit about what that is to you? Can you define that for us and why that is important?
Yeah, just if you look as you were reading of course, my biography there, the word reliability. I mean, everything I touched on, everything I did, we needed to find reliable people. We needed to find somebody that would show up every day. We needed to find people that I know if I called them at any time of the day or night that they would be reliable. We can get them in. That whether it's the military, whether it's McKesson Corporation, where on the Fortune 500, that's number 5, and they do all kind of pharmacy supplies. And they hold the VA contract. So if we need somebody to get up and deliver a piece of equipment to the VA at 3 a.m, we need to find that reliable driver. And so the commitment has to be there. So for reliability to matter. So that, and then today with CSX Railroad, my time there finding managers. You're talking manager of train operations. This is the person that makes the trains flow. They make our country go. They make sure that flow of that logistical support across the United States gets from one end to the other. So you have to have that person that may work 3 to 4 days in a row without any sleep. So again, we have to find that reliable person. So usually with that role, I would probably have to interview 300 people to find 30 every quarter. So you have to have that right person with that right commitment and that understands what it means, to commit to that kind of role. And then today, with being a police officer, being a crime scene investigator, to being a corrections officer, reliability, being reliable, have that commitment to community, and to one another. You got to be reliable for one another. You got to have accountability for one another, and you got to have that commitment to make it all work together.
So what would happen if you had a team full of people that weren't reliable? I mean, can you think of a time where maybe you did have somebody that was in a position that didn't have this particular attribute and how it maybe negatively impacted your team?
Well, sure. I'll just go. The first one that came to mind is I was I took over a recruiting station back in my Army days. And unfortunately, because of my promotion and the people that were in that station with me, they all left. So I brought in new people. I brought a brand new staff inside the Army recruiting station. And unfortunately, when you get that, even inside the military, sometimes you find people that aren't reliable. And in that job, you're going to, at that time in military recruiting, you're working 12 hours a day, 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. And so the commitment has to be there. So I brought in two people. Well, the Army gave me two people, not that I selected them. So one of them was really good, and the other one was not reliable. He wasn't committed to our operation out in recruiting command. So of course, it took a lot of time and effort spending just a large amount of time trying to make them understand the mission, training. So 90% of my day was usually with this person instead of the person that wanted to be there and wanted to train. So it became a strain on the office. And you can fast forward that to, when I was vice president of admissions and growing up in that environment as a director of our Daytona campus. I inherited a really, really experienced group of recruiters on that campus, but I had one guy specifically that wasn't reliable, wasn't ethical, and wasn't devoted, wasn't committed to the team. So it became a strain on the team. We had to go through a lot of process to remove him. But it's really hard on the team when you don't have somebody that's sold in and reliable, showing up late or not showing up at all or leaving early, leaving students out. They say they had an appointment with a student would walk in and that person had already left for the day. And so somebody had to pick up the slack, so they weren't reliable. And so it put a strain on the team for those kind of things. And then when you're not honest and ethical, again, we're relying on everybody to be ethically and honest. So it's just a strain. And everywhere you've been, or whenever you have unreliable people, it becomes strain on the team overall. And
Yeah,
so,
I can definitely see that. And that, as you're telling the story, I'm thinking of my own personal experience too. Years ago, long time ago, I worked at a school for adjudicated youth, and I was the head of the education department. I had three teachers underneath me, and it was a very tough environment to work in. And I had some teachers that were unreliable, and so every day, like it was very uncertain coming into work, not knowing if who was going to call out, if we'd have a full teaching staff. And so I was constantly being pulled into the classroom to teach, which I loved teaching, but that was not my job. That was not my role, and so it was very anxiety ridden, coming in, like never knowing what you were walking into. And so students who are listening to this, like, when you're in that particular kind of environment, especially if you're already working in a stressful environment, which I was working with 45 adjudicated youth, which if you don't know what that means, it means the students who had trouble with the law, that were already unsuccessful in public school. So they were already having behavior issues. They were having troubles with the law, troubles at home. A lot of them had substance abuse issues. So they were already a more difficult population to work with. And so that environment alone was already stressful. And then now coming in, you never knew what you were walking into, what had happened after hours, what had happened at home, if they had if they were still dabbling in their substance abuse issues, if they had gotten in trouble overnight and stuff like that. And then to never know if your team was reliable, if you were going to have a full teaching staff, if I had to pivot and be in the classroom, or if we had to pull case managers off of their duties, like you said, Lester, you were saying, like, everybody was picking up the slack and having to come off of their job, because then we still had to do our job on top of doing other people's jobs too. And it's, never hurts, I always want to help my teammates, but then when I can't even do my own job, and then I have to stay after, or I have to work on the weekends, or, and then it's not benefiting the students, that's why we're there, because we can't give it our all. And it really puts a huge strain on the entire organization as a whole. And I left that job, and a year later, I'm not saying it was because I left, but just the way that place was run, and because it was so completely unreliable, that program ended up closing down, which therefore those students ended up not being served at all.
right. It's isn't that the importance of reliability when it was like you could say that you were the glue holding it together. I remember, several times where you would see as somebody really reliable would leave a team, and that team would either, like you're saying, it dissolve or go through hard times until that right leader showed up to take it and then take it above and then get the right people in there. I was fortunate enough to, you know, to hire and, you know, to hire enough people where um, when you hire really high level, high energy people, the people that aren't reliable, the people that aren't really good for the role, they kind of phase themselves out because they're one thing about and this sounds bad, but it's just reality of business. When you hire high achievers, low achievers, they just don't mesh, so they phase themselves out naturally. But you really want to come into an organization and where you're the best fit. And try. I think I gave it as I was talking to your class one time. I volunteer for everything. Say yes.
Mhm.
Become that person, and to get to know your role. Get to just really jump into it and see if you can see if it's really for you. Now, obviously, we've all been in those roles where we get hired, and then you find out, man, this is not for me, and that's okay too. You just and then you at least and then
Yes.
then you can go somewhere else where you can be successful. And not that I never wanted to get rid of people. My overall attrition rate of employees when I was with the corporation was 2.7 over 13 years.
Oh,
I
wow.
rarely lost somebody if I hired them. I always wanted to hire the right person, always respect them, always give them enough support they needed. So hiring effectively is so important. And as your students grow in their career, they're going to learn when they become managers. They're going to learn what kind of people they want to work with, and what kind of people they want to hire, and that commitment and reliability becomes so important because that's the person you want to bring. That's the person you want to work next to all the time. That commitment and that reliability piece is huge when it comes to the workforce. You want to work with that guy that has the same commitment you do, the same that ethos that you have.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's the person, yeah, because you're kind of drawn to that. Um, and then that's the person that, managers and supervisors are going to see and recognize. And so, somebody who's been in a leadership position, so correct me if I'm wrong, but, wouldn't that be the person that you're going to be looking to promote, be the one that would be more likely that's going to get a raise, that's going to, isn't that the person that's going to stand out over the somebody who's just kind of doing enough just to get by, correct?
Correct. Yeah, my two guys that stick out the most were a guy named Larry Hiven and Greg Joy. Two of the guys that came in with me early to that military role, that military recruiting role. And so we came in, I hired just two people. We grew that team from just two recruiters to 30 recruiters and three regional directors. And I had recruiters in Alaska, Hawaii, Europe. Now these were military focused, so a military base in Europe, and they were all by military bases and throughout the country. So you had to hire all my guys were retired military recruiters, and that is as easy as that sounds, because you think, oh, they're disciplined, they're all type A personalities first, and they all think they're the best person for everything they touch and do. So you're not only managing our process, but now you're managing egos and you're managing everybody who thinks they're great. Because we all lie to each other and tell us how great we were in the military. But it was one of these things that it was challenging. But I would tell you, I loved all those guys. I mean, they were my brothers and sisters, and we just when we got together, it was kind of special. But I knew by understanding them as a person, understanding and respecting their career, I knew they would be reliable too, as long as I showed that, and that you could probably take that over to any kind of civilian role that I've worked to with at CSX or my own consulting company. Um, when I would get the contract for McKesson, they understood that I was a reliable person. I'd show up in Atlanta at 5 a.m. To work with the logistics managers to try to understand what that morning push looked like when 30 trucks were getting loaded and trying to leave at the same time so they could be on time to their deliveries. I didn't know that because that's what I was going to recruit. That's what I was recruiting for. Also showing up, we'd look for a one of the most difficult positions. It was a biochemical engineer, but they also had to have they also wanted a doctorate in pharmacy with that. So it was I mean, that was like a unicorn. That took me forever to find, but they knew that I wouldn't give up on finding that person. We finally did,
Mhm.
at San Diego. So it was a really Uh, once you earn people's respect and they understand that you're committed, that you're going to be reliable to their mission as much as they are, it becomes a really great relationship.
Yes. Yeah, I can say that I've excelled in that in my own professional world as well, and to where I've had bosses say like, like I don't want you to go anywhere. I'll do anything to keep you, and that's a good place to be, and it's a good it gives you leverage. It also gives you, it's the loyalty that you establish within the organization that you're working in. It's a great relationship to have with your, because your supervisor, hopefully that person becomes like, more of a mentor to you as well. It's a becomes more of a than just a job. I know you and I have talked about this just between you and I, how when you love your job and you're passionate about what you do, I mean, it's still work, but you enjoy it, you don't mind it. Like, you've come to our campus a couple times, and that's quite a drive for you coming all the way from Jacksonville, but you enjoy doing it. You're passionate, you love it. And, your boss, can depend on you knowing that he can rely on you and that you're going to come and do it. And the same with me, where my boss just knows that she can count on me, that I'm going to be doing the things that I say that I'm doing, and that I'm going to do it well. And so, yeah, she doesn't want me to go anywhere, and I bring a lot of value to the organization. So, kind of with that said, as students are starting to, build their resume and they're starting to build their brand, how can they display this quality? I mean, are there certain like keywords and saying things that they should put on their resume? Are there certain things that they should say in interviews? Or how can they really demonstrate to employers that they possess this quality about being reliable?
Oh, sure. Say you've I had kids that worked at my restaurant, for example, and um, I helped them with their resumes. But that the ones that were very reliable, if somebody would call out, they'd call in, and that's something you can actually put on your resume. Reliable team member, loyal to the mission, or even um, as you're giving references, that old supervisor that make sure you keep those person in mind, and always check, by the way, when you're putting a reference on that they are going to say something positive about you, and then it's okay. But it is you're just the words alone: loyalty, reliable, um, and then the timeline. And it's okay if you get somewhere where you don't like, but uh, one of the things that's lacking today, and you just see it. I've seen it a lot more at CSX than I do here at the sheriff's office. Was 1 year. You stay 1 year somewhere and you leave. You stay 1 year somewhere and you leave.
Mhm.
So what's going on there? And then sometimes that's going to happen once. Okay, we all know we all get a bad job, and or we understand that how fast food works or how that high school jobs work, and
Mhm.
But when you're graduating college and you're getting into that first career, maybe that's not it. But don't set a trend for yourself just because you don't like that person in the cubicle behind you because they're chewing ice too loud or anything, and you quit over that reason. That's a story for me, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, chewing ice. I mean, and so then that timeline in itself says you're not reliable if you're leaving every 9 months. And so I wouldn't even interview those folks. I wouldn't send them forward to the hiring manager. Now, a year and a half, 2 years, we'd have a conversation, and if they would, and I got a better opportunity, and that's okay if somebody's coming to you and saying, "Hey, we're going to pay you X amount to come work for our company," or your networking is starting to pay off, and then they're going to come and grab you out of one situation and put you in another. That's a story to tell,
Mhm.
because they see your background, they see and they like everything, and that could be a story to tell in the interview. But if that happens within the first 6 months of where that first job at, as tough as that is to turn down, you should really try to stay somewhere a year or two to get your foundation, and then within that, with say you're there out of college, and you're in that first role, volunteer, right? Get to know your job well, get to know everything you're doing. That boss needs somebody to take on a project, take on that project.
Mhm.
Even if you're looking at that team and you're going, I really don't like that person, you know, uh, jump on it and roll with it. I would tell you, I was working at the corporation that when I was a VP, and the West Coast VP and I didn't see eye to eye in all. Oil and water, you couldn't put us in the same room together. We were just, oh, it was bad.
Hmm.
What happened was my boss recognized that, and what she did to us, she kept putting us on projects together, and eventually we got to know each other on a personal level. And she's one of my best friends today.
Hmm.
So we just thought we were butting heads and it is recruiting. So it was one of those things we thought we were actually hurting each other, and we weren't. Actually, we were benefiting, and we didn't see that as professionals. But when my boss put us together, it helped. So, professional that developed me professionally, opened myself up to getting to know a person a little better, and um, not assuming anything anymore. So
Yes.
uh, and so what I mean by all that, if you are, I became a burden to my boss because I was harder to work with. I wasn't a full team member, and I didn't realize that until the, toward the end of our time together. But thank God she was a strong enough leader to put us together, to work together, to understand if you two would just get to know each other a little bit. And then of course it paid off because then we became very strong partners
I love
and
that.
further. Yeah. Um, so you just got to be a little more open as a leader, a little more open as a coworker to understand what maybe that person's going through. Maybe they're assuming that you're not friendly, and I wasn't friendly to her, and she wasn't friendly to me.
Yeah.
But if we would have just opened up a little more, we would have found out that we have a ton in common.
I love that. I love that you say that because I had almost that exact same situation. Oil and water. We both felt the same way about each other, and to the tune of where I was like, maybe this isn't the place I need to work, and I was looking, started looking elsewhere, and I don't even remember what the event was that clicked for the both of us, where we turned a corner, and just like your story, we are very good friends to this day. He no longer works here, but we still maintain a really good friendship, and I miss him. Like, actually, when he told me that he was leaving, I cried. I was like, no, like, you're my work best friend. Don't go. But so that's a good lesson. Like, you might not like somebody right away. It does take some time for that to grow. Those work relationships do grow. So it could be to that. I mean, it was that extreme for me where I was like, no, absolutely not. I cannot work with this person. I do not want to. It's very uncomfortable. I don't want to be. It took a good 6 months. And then we turned a corner. And so sometimes those work relationships do take some time. And but you've got to keep going, but you have to keep showing up. Don't let it affect your job. You have to still be reliable to the work, to your boss, to the mission, and not let it affect you, you're personally. So that was a good story. That's a good lesson for all of us to learn. We are coming up on time. Les, do you have any parting words for our students to learn about what it means to be reliable and how that they can showcase this?
Yeah, just off that example, I put, as you become, as you go into your work and your first career, uh, just try to have a better understanding of being that employee that you don't want to be that difficult person. And sometimes you don't know you are. I didn't know that I was being a burden on my boss until she told me at the end when we started getting along with the coworker. So again, volunteer, be that person that will step in at a moment's notice. I mean, now today, because I'm toward a little more seasoned in my career. The boss, my lieutenant will say something, and I'll say, I got it. I'll take any burden off I can. If I got the time and if I got the bandwidth, I always just say I got it. I mean, I'm pretty much the first one. It's just a season. I can probably get things done a lot faster than the less experienced people in my office. Just what we do. But if I would have done that early in my career, I would have learned a lot more. I would have probably been even more effective today than I was. And that just produces more. That just shows them that you're more of a reliable person than maybe that person next to you, which will mean a promotion. With promotions mean more money and
Mhm.
other opportunities uh, that'll come your way once you become that person that somebody can rely on. And they know they can rely on me. My bosses, they don't. And I'll tell you, as a business owner, when I took on even um, you're everything in a business. So your customers then rely on you. You know, even my bees right now, everything's trying to kill those five hives. So I'm out there over the weekend trying to put, I had to get, so the bees are counting on me too right now. So I'm reliable.
I love
So
it. I wish,
yeah,
by
so
the way,
just
you had some of your honey, and it is very good. It is very, very good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Les, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you, students, for joining us as well. This is a wonderful topic. It's not going to go anywhere, so might as well just embrace it and learn that this is something that is very important. You're going to need it not just in the workplace, but in life in general. You've got to be reliable. You got to be somebody that people can depend on. You've got to be able to show up in your work relationships and your personal relationships. And just even for yourself, you gotta show up for yourself. Be reliable to what you put yourself to, but also what is expected of you at work. So thank you again, Les. Thank you, students. Like I said, Les, once this gets finished, I will send you this. The rest of you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Les, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Students, enjoy yours as well. Everybody have a great rest of your day. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye. Now I will stop record as soon as I figure that part out. There we go.